Okay, hi there, hope you can hear me. I guess this is the fourth video, and we got some research going on here in the upper left corner. Weapon systems unlocks Gauss Turret and the Magnum Ammo, which is the ammo that the turret uses, and it'll be done in about 5 seconds here.
Research complete.
There it is. Okay, so let's press F. Brings up our replicator, and we now have the Magnum Ammo box. I'm going to click on it. 3 copper ingots to make 1 Magnum Ammo. And yeah, that's going to eat away at our ingots for sure. And the other thing is, if you look at this, I don't know if you can read that or not, but it says where is it? You can make it in the replicator, so Icarus can make it, or it can be made in assembler. And the assembler, we got 1 here in our inventory. There it is. And the annoying thing about this assembler, this Mark 1 assembler, you can see that it has a production speed modifier of 0.75. So if Icarus can make the Magnum Ammo boxes 1 every second, so he can make 60 in a minute. The assembling machine can only make 45 in a minute. So you gotta remember to apply this modifier now to the recipe speed. Let's go ahead and make some of these assembling machines. Or maybe I'll make 3 of them. It's going to take 30 seconds. And now I'm going to look for a place where I can build the Magnum Ammo. And I'd kind of like to build them out here, but we're kind of crowding these iron ore veins. But this is just a demo, so I would never design stuff like this in a serious game. This is just a demonstration. So let's get some belt down. In fact, I'm going to need more belt. Throw some logs in the fuel. Okay, where should we build this? Maybe I'm just going to go over here, and on the bottom we are going to click on the production, icon, which is the 5th one on the bottom. And you can see we have our arc smelter, and now we have the assembling machine. We have 4 of them. So I'm going to click on assembling machine, and I'm just going to kind of line it up here on the grid, and I'm going to put, and this is, once again, this is the mental exercise I go through every single time. Now each one of these I'm just going to select, for the recipe I'm going to select the Magnum Ammo box. And then there's this nifty little copy button, I'm going to click on that. And then on the keyboard it's the greater than sign, so it's just to the left of the question mark. And it'll automatically paste that recipe to whatever building I'm pointing at. The mental exercise that I need to go through here is such like this. So this assembler is going to create this recipe 45 times a minute because of the modifier. That means it's going to need 3 copper ingots 45 times a minute, which is 135 copper ingots. And the second one here is going to need the same amount. So that's already 270 270 copper ingots per minute for these 2. Now if I add a third one, and I'm just going to point at it, press the greater than sign because it's already queued up in my, I already copied it, it's still there, and it's pasted. So if I add the third one, that's another 135 on top of 270, which I think is 405. And if you remember, the belt can only deliver 360 pieces per minute. So this last assembler is going to be starving for ingots. And I don't really like running stuff like that, so I'm just going to, maybe I'll leave it there just for demonstration. Now these things also need 270 kilowatts of power, but we just placed our thermal power plant, so the grid has lots of power on it right now. Not too worried. Let's feed in. We have to feed in. We have to saturate a belt with ingots, essentially. This is going to be messy, but I don't care. Oh, and we're going to definitely need more sorters. So the smart thing for me to do would be to automate the creation of belts, sorters, and depots. But I have not done that yet.
Replication complete.
So I'm constantly building them as needed. So over here, cue that up again. We need to take the ingots from our depot and saturate the belt. So each one of these does 90 pieces per minute. and we need 360, so I believe that is 4. Exactly 4 of these should saturate a belt. Right, and now you look over here and the belt is going to be solid with no gaps on it. And it needs, so these assembling machines are going to consume, or they're going to draw, 135 pieces per minute. So they need 2 sorters each, drawing in ingots. And there isn't going to be enough ingots on the belt for this last assembler,
Fabrication complete.
according to my mental gymnastics. And then let's run an output belt back kind of towards our stuff. Just kind of walk the line here. Let's get, okay, so the output of this is going to be 45 boxes of ammo per minute, which means we only need 1 sorter. And I'm gonna click on the assembler to start, and I'm going to finish by clicking on the conveyor belt because it's directional. We don't need that little bit there, so I press X and delete it. Now we should be able to just give it some power, so let's get a Tesla tower over here. Maybe I'll put them on the ends. And they're coming out on the output belt. So we're going to have 135 pieces per minute on this output belt, which means we're going to need 2 of these sorters pulling them into the depot. Right, because each sorter does 90 pieces per minute for a total of 180. Right, so this, you can see that this belt is, it's eventually going to, interesting. No, there it goes. You can see this belt is going to thin up because we're picking more pieces than it can provide. Okay, there it goes. Now if you look at this last assembler, I'm just going to click on it. Lack of material, it says. Now it's working. Lack of material, working. So it's a little bit starved. It's just one of those things that you gotta kind of live with. But there you go. Like we've automated the creation of these bullets now because we're gonna need quite a few of them. The only thing is, if you think about it, we are now drawing 360 ingots per minute from this depot, but we're only feeding it 60 ingots per second or per minute. So we're drawing it 6 times faster than we're providing it. So we are going to run out of ingots in like 5 or 10 minutes here. What can we do about that? Well, we got a healthy storage of ore here. So I'm going to click on the first tab at the bottom, get this Tesla tower and put it on the other side for a second. And then delete this one. And I'm going to see if I can fit another smelter in here. So the fifth button on the bottom is production, and it is our arc smelter. Click on that, and put it right there. I'm going to use the less than sign on the keyboard to copy the recipe from the arc smelter beside it, and I'm going to use the greater than sign to apply that recipe to the new smelter. Now the third button is logistics. We're going to grab our sorter from the belt to the arc smelter. Actually, I'll just put one of them in the middle. And that should be producing. So we should now be, these two smelters are taking 120 pieces per minute, and we are supplying 180. So that's okay. So let's put an output belt here and connect it up to the belt that's already there. And I'm going to put another sorter here, and it's going to feed onto that belt. So now we're feeding 120 ingots, which means that that's more ingots than this sorter can handle. So I'm going to put a second sorter here to help hold those ingots in. Now 120 ingots we're feeding in is still only 1/3 of 360 ingots that are going out. You can kind of see the types of problems you're going to face, like supply problems, right? If this were a real game, I would have designed it so that this output belt is saturated with 360 ingots per minute. But what eventually is going to happen is this depot is just going to fill up with ammo, and then this production line here is going to stop anyways, and then these ingots are going to fill up again. So while that goes like that, let's hit F on the keyboard for the replicator. Let's go to the buildings tab, and we're going to click on the Gauss turret. And it says we have enough stuff here to make 7. And I'm going to make actually I'd like to make more than 7. So let's see what we are likely missing here. So magnetic coils, circuit boards. Okay, so most likely we need, you can almost guarantee, we just need more ingots. Better get them while we have them. I'll take 2 stacks of copper and maybe 2 stacks of iron ingots. And let's take another stack of raw ore, or iron. And hit F, check our replicator. We can now make 20 of these things. So I'm going to make 10 to start. And that's going to take forever. It's going to take 205 seconds. Okay. It looks like we did not. Like sometimes when you complete researching a technology, like weapon systems, sometimes they give you like the building that you researched. This, I do not see Gauss turret in my inventory, so they're not being nice anymore, and they did not give me one. So we actually have to build them. 160 seconds. It's 2.5 minutes. So what I'll do is I'm going to take a minute here to show you a trick. Something that tripped me up for a long time. And people can laugh at me about this, but you can build conveyor belts that crisscross each other. So like see this big long conveyor belt here, and maybe it's in my way. Maybe I want to go over and get to this ore with a belt. Well, if I take the conveyor belt, you can see like it kind of went red here. It said collides with another object, but if you just go over it, it'll automatically build the belt to go over top of it. So that's really handy, and I wish I knew that when I was starting. And if you want to do it manually, you can actually you can press the up arrow on your keyboard and it'll build the belts up, kind of like that. I think it's just easier to drag the belt across and let the computer figure out how to place it. But you should know that trick. So I'm going to hit X on the keyboard, hold Shift, and I'm just going to take that whole section of belt out by left clicking on it. And check our replicator. We got 30 seconds left. Maybe we should pick up some ammo. Look at, we're almost out of our ingots. So I'm gonna come over to our ammo here, and you know what? Let's block it after that one, because I would like to have some ingots back. Especially since we're gonna take some
Replication
ammo here.
complete.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just put it here for now. Okay. Now we have 10 Gauss turrets in our inventory, and we have some ammo. So let me show you what I would normally do to protect our stuff. You can get fancy with this. What I'm about to show you is not fancy. I'm just going to take a depot and I'm going to put it I can see this water here is going to be a problem. I'm just going to put this depot here, sort of use the grid to line it up, and then I'm going to click on there's an icon number 7 for defense. And it has our Gauss turret. And I'm just going to place it for a second because it's hard to tell. Okay, yeah. There's a spot where the belt goes in to feed it ammo. And I'm going to put 2 of them. Like that. Now it's blinking red because it doesn't have ammo. So in this depot I'm going to put 200 ammo. And then I'm going to put a belt. It's a small belt that goes. You can't start on the depot, but I'm going to start right beside the depot with the belt and move towards the Gauss turret. And on the other side, the same thing. Start just beside the depot and towards the Gauss turret. And it should be connected. Now what we gotta do is we gotta take a sorter and go from the depot to the belt, and then that'll put ammo onto the belt and into the Gauss turret. I'll do the other side with the sorter as well. And now if you hover over this Gauss turret, you can see a big circle. Any enemies that come within that circle, it's going to shoot at. Okay, so very basic defense, works well. Some people will automate the feeding of these turrets with a belt, like from our supply box, and they'll have a belt that goes all the way around the perimeter that feeds all their Gauss turrets. Because like I could have a belt come out the other side here if I wanted, and it would have ammo on it. But I'm not going to do that. So let's take a look. That stuff is protected, but the other side over here is not protected very well. So we want to definitely protect our blue cubes because they're hard to make. So I'm going to do another one, storage depot here. Now if I had researched blueprint, I could have made a blueprint for these turrets, and it'd be easy for me to just plop down the blueprint and it would build everything automatically, but we're not there yet.
Mineral depleted.
Now I think we have to spin this. Okay. The belt here. The belt here. Sorter here. This one says it needs power, so I'm just going to put a Tesla tower right behind the bin. And let's give it 200-ish ammo. And now they are protecting these buildings. The only thing that's not protected is my coal operation over there, so I'll go over there in a second. But something I should mention, you can click on these Gauss turrets and it shows you that the alarm is off. I'm just going to toggle that back to on, and what that does is if this turret ever runs out of ammo, an icon will appear at the top of the screen saying that you have one turret that's missing ammo. And I would like to be notified, so I gotta remember to turn the alarm on for all these turrets.